All right, listener, buckle up because we're diving deep today.
Oh, yeah, this is a big one.
You're tackling global population decline, and it's all based on that document you sent us, remember?
Creating a new reality, right?
That's the one. We're going to unpack this whole thing together. So it's not just about declining populations, right? This source also talks about some wild solutions.
Yeah, wild's one word for it.
Government incentives, we've heard those before. But then, get this, turning having kids into a game.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the more creative solutions.
So I guess our mission today is to figure out, like, is this all doom and gloom? Or is there actually some hope for the future? What do you think?
Well, the source makes a really compelling case that population decline is about way more than just, fewer babies. It impacts, like, literally everything.
Everything. Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so think about it. The author, Arnaud van der Veere, he argues that fewer people mean a smaller workforce.
Right, fewer workers.
And that means slower production, less innovation, a bigger burden on those taking care of, the elderly.
Hold on. Slower production. Does that mean, like, my Amazon deliveries are going to take longer?
Well, yeah, potentially.
Now that's something I can relate to. Okay, so it's not just about having enough people. It's about the stability of everything.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But why are birth rates declining in the first place? What's going on there?
Van der Veere points to a few key factors, like our modern lifestyle, all the stress, not enough physical activity.
Wait, so you're saying if I just take more walking breaks during the day, I could, like, boost my fertility?
Potentially, yeah. There's research on it.
Okay, that's actually helpful. See, I'm already getting some good takeaways from this. What else?
Well, he also talks about how societal priorities have shifted, right? Parenthood isn't necessarily the top priority for everyone anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, people are focused on their careers, traveling. There's a lot going on.
And social media doesn't help. We're constantly comparing ourselves to these perfect lives that don't even exist. It creates a lot of anxiety around, relationships and intimacy.
It's all about the highlight reel, not real life. So we've got declining birth rates, societal shifts, potential economic slowdown. Sounds kind of bleak. But what about solutions? Does the source offer any hope?
Well, he starts with the familiar stuff, government incentives, like child benefits, tax breaks, affordable childcare.
Right, those are pretty standard. Yeah. But I'm more intrigued by this gamification idea. What is that all about? Like, winning babies?
It's not quite like that. It's more about creating a fun, positive atmosphere around family building. He gives this example of a fertility wheel at a community festival.
A fertility wheel? Okay, I'm picturing like a giant spinning wheel. What happens?
Couples spin the wheel and they win prizes related to family building. Things like childcare vouchers or, maybe a romantic getaway.
It's less about winning a baby and more about removing the fear and pressure around having kids.
Exactly. Turning it into a celebration, a community event.
I actually kind of love that. It's like, hey, let's have some fun while we're at it.
Right. And he's very clear it's not just about couples either. It needs to be inclusive, welcoming to everyone, no matter their path to parenthood.
Makes sense. It's about building a culture of support and celebration around family, no matter how that family looks. But he doesn't just stop at games, okay? There's more to it.
Oh, yeah. There's way more. He dives into the psychology of desire, how men and women experience it differently, and that's where the conversation around pornography comes in.
Okay, so this is where things get a little more complex.
Yeah.
What's his take on that?
Well, he argues that constant exposure to unrealistic imagery, in porn, can actually hinder real-life relationships.
Meaning, like, it creates unrealistic expectations.
Exactly. It creates a disconnect between fantasy and reality, and that leads to anxiety, performance issues.
So it's not about, like, demonizing pornography. It's about understanding how it might be impacting our perceptions and expectations.
Exactly. It's about balance, understanding the difference between fantasy and real-life intimacy.
That makes sense. So we've talked about the problem of declining birth rates, societal shifts. We've touched on some potential solutions. But how do we actually bridge that gap between where we are now and this, new reality?
Well, Van der Veere is big on creating social spaces that foster connection and intimacy. He talks about fertility cafes.
Fertility cafes? Like, what is that?
Imagine a place where people can meet, chat about their family building journeys, share their experiences.
It's about normalizing the conversation, making it okay to talk about these things.
Exactly. And he's not just talking about cafes. He mentions retreats that blend wellness with fertility education, online communities, all sorts of things.
So there's real emphasis on community building, on creating a sense of support.
Yeah.
It's not just about individual couples making choices. It's about creating a society that values family in all its forms.
Absolutely. It's about shifting the narrative from burden to celebration.
That's powerful. But honestly, is this new reality even achievable? Changing deeply ingrained societal patterns, that's a lot.
Veere acknowledges the challenges, for sure. It requires a mindset shift, being open to new ideas.
And a commitment to creating a more supportive and inclusive culture, right?
Exactly.
That's a tall order. But you know what? I am starting to feel a little glimmer of optimism. Is there anything else in the source that, points to this actually being possible?
Absolutely. Veere believes older generations have a vital role to play. They're not just, sitting around. They're full of wisdom and experience.
Yeah, so it's not just about young people making changes. It's about tapping into the wisdom of those who have already walked the path.
Exactly. He even suggests community centers where older people can volunteer, share their skills, become mentors.
It's about creating a village that spans generations. I love that.
It's a beautiful idea.
All right, listener, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. We've talked about some pretty heavy stuff, but also some surprisingly fun and creative solutions. What are you feeling right now? Overwhelmed? Inspired?
A little bit of both, honestly. But what stands out to me is the source's focus on positive change, It's not about dwelling on the problem. It's about taking action, building connections, and really celebrating the joy of family.
I love that. And, what I find fascinating is that Veere doesn't just focus on the role of young people in this new reality. He really emphasizes the importance of older generations, their wisdom, their experience, their potential to shape a society that truly values family and community.
Absolutely. And he even has some pretty innovative ideas for fostering that connection between generations. Things like, well, imagine community centers where older adults could volunteer and share their skills,
Okay, I'm picturing it. Like teaching cooking classes or offering financial advice. I like it.
Exactly. Or even just being a listening ear for someone who needs it.
That's so important. Just having someone to talk to, creating that space for meaningful interaction. It's a two-way street,
Yeah.
Everyone benefits.
Right. And he also suggests these mentorship programs pairing experienced parents with new moms and dads.
Oh, I love that. Like having someone who's been there, done that to turn to.
Exactly. Imagine how reassuring that would be, To have that support, that guidance.
Almost like a built-in support system, like an extended family.
Yes. And it's not just about the practical help either. Veere talks about the emotional connection, the spiritual connection that can happen between generations.
Okay, tell me more about that. What does that look like?
He suggests these intergenerational storytelling events where older adults can share their life experiences, family histories, things like that.
Oh, wow. There's something so powerful about storytelling, It connects us, helps us understand each other better.
Absolutely. It creates a sense of belonging, a shared history, a continuity across generations.
It reminds us that we're all part of something bigger.
Yeah.
So we've got this vision of a society that embraces family, celebrates diversity, fosters connection. But how do we get there? What are the actual steps to making this new reality happen?
Well, he outlines a pretty detailed approach, addressing both individual and societal levels. And he starts with education.
Makes sense. Education is key. What kind of education are we talking about here?
He talks about integrating positive narratives about family life into school curriculums.
Interesting. So teaching kids from a young age about the joys and responsibilities of being a parent, instilling those values early on.
Exactly. And it's not just about traditional family structures either. He stresses inclusivity, making sure that these education programs reflect the different ways families are formed these days.
I love that. Showing kids that there's no one right way to be a family. Single-parent families, adoptive families, LGBTQ plus families, all equally valid and deserving of celebration.
Absolutely. And education goes beyond the classroom too, right? He suggests public awareness campaigns, highlighting the positive aspects of parenthood, challenging the negative stereotypes.
It's about changing the narrative. Instead of, oh, it's so hard, so expensive, it's, hey, this is amazing, this is so rewarding.
Exactly. And of course, he recognizes that government has a big role to play too. He proposes all sorts of policies to make parenthood more affordable, more accessible.
Okay, let's talk policy. Give me highlights.
Things like expanded parental leave, subsidized childcare, even financial incentives for having multiple children.
So basically making it easier financially and logistically, for people to actually start and grow their families.
Exactly. But he's very clear about this financial support is not enough. It needs to go hand in hand with a cultural shift, a society that values family, that makes it easier for parents to balance work and life.
So it's not just about throwing money at the problem. It's about creating a work environment, a culture that actually supports working parents. What would that look like?
Well, he talks about employers being more family-friendly, offering things like flexible work schedules, remote work opportunities, maybe even on-site childcare.
Wow. Can you imagine? That would be life-changing for so many families struggling to make it all work.
Right. And it's not just the workplace. He talks about creating neighborhoods that are more family-friendly, dedicated play spaces, community gardens, regular family events.
It's about creating that sense of community, that feeling that you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
It really does take a village.
It does. And he also talks about online communities, support groups for parents, because not everyone lives in that perfect village setting.
Right. Online spaces can be lifesavers for parents who are feeling isolated or just overwhelmed. It's about using every tool we have to build that support network, to create a culture that celebrates families and makes it easier for people to connect with each other. But Veere doesn't stop there. He also delves into the spiritual aspects of family building. Oh, okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more about that.
Well, he talks about connecting with the deeper meaning and purpose of family, what does it really mean to be a parent? Why is this important? And he suggests things like rituals and ceremonies that can help honor the journey of parenthood, from conception to birth and beyond.
I like that. It's about recognizing that this is a sacred journey, a transformative experience.
Exactly. He even proposes creating fertility temples.
Fertility temples, what are those?
Like sacred spaces where people can go to meditate, to pray, to perform rituals related to family building.
Wow, that's a powerful image. It's about recognizing the sacredness of life, of creation.
It is. It's about honoring the journey, acknowledging the challenges, and celebrating the victories.
I'm starting to see this whole new world emerge. Fertility festivals, community centers, spiritual temples. It's like a blend of ancient traditions and modern innovations.
That's a great way to put it. It's about taking the best of both worlds, drawing inspiration from the past while embracing the possibilities of the future.
I love it. So for individuals, for people who are actually trying to have children, what does this new reality look like? What kind of advice does he offer?
Well, he talks a lot about self-care, preparation, adopting a fertility-friendly lifestyle.
What does that mean?
Eating a healthy diet, getting regular exercise, managing stress, avoiding harmful substances, all that good stuff.
Creating a fertile ground, both physically and emotionally.
Exactly. Setting yourself up for success. And it's not just about the individual either. He really encourages couples to work together, communicate openly about their desires, their fears, and support each other throughout the journey.
It's about teamwork.
Right.
Recognizing that this is a shared journey.
Exactly. And he goes beyond just the practical stuff. He talks about meditation, visualization, affirmations, all these things that can help cultivate a positive mindset, a sense of connection to the creative force of life.
It's about aligning your energy with your intention, about truly believing in the possibility of creating a family.
Beautifully said. And it's not just for couples either. He acknowledges that there are many paths to parenthood, and he encourages individuals to explore all of them. Adoption, surrogacy, fostering, whatever feels right for you.
It's about finding your path and embracing it wholeheartedly, knowing that there's support and guidance available every step of the way.
Exactly. And he doesn't sugarcoat it either. He talks about the challenges, Parenthood is hard work. But he stresses the importance of building that support network, finding mentors, seeking out resources, all the things that can help you navigate the ups and downs.
It's about recognizing that it's not always going to be easy, but that with the right support, the right mindset, you can overcome any obstacle. That's a powerful message.
It is. It speaks to the resilience of the human spirit, our ability to adapt, to grow, to thrive, even in the face of adversity.
So big picture. What's the overall message here? What's Veere hoping to achieve with all of this?
I think it boils down to this. He believes in a better future, a future where family is at the heart of society, where children are cherished and supported, and where individuals and couples feel empowered to embrace this incredible journey of parenthood.
It's a beautiful vision. A world where we're all connected, not just by blood, but by this shared commitment to family, to community, to the continuation of life itself.
It is beautiful. And what's so inspiring is that he's not just, sitting around talking about it. He's actually out there doing the work, making it happen.
Really? Tell me more about that.
He's founded an organization dedicated to promoting family-friendly policies, creating supportive communities, and fostering a culture that celebrates parenthood. He's written books. He's out there spreading the message.
That's amazing. It's so inspiring to see someone so dedicated to making a positive impact.
It is, and he's not alone. There's so many people out there working towards this same goal, building a more family-centered world.
It's heartwarming to see, isn't it? All these people coming together, recognizing the importance of family and community. So, listener, what about you? What are your thoughts? What resonated with you from this conversation?
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. What are you doing to create the family-centered world that you want to see?
And if you're interested in learning more, we highly recommend checking out Arnaud van der Veere's book, Creating a New Reality. It's a thought-provoking read, but also surprisingly hopeful.
It is. It gives you a lot to think about.
Okay, listener, we've reached a natural stopping point here, but we're not done yet.
There's still more to explore. In part 3, we're going to dive into some of the more, shall we say, unconventional ideas that Van der Veere proposes. Things like government-funded fertility treatments, the concept of artificial wombs.
Whoa, artificial wombs, that's next level. And we'll talk about how he envisions older generations playing an even more active role in shaping this new reality. So stay tuned, listener. There's much more to come. Okay, listener, we're back, ready for the final part of our deep dive into creating a new reality.
I hope you're buckled in because we're about to explore some seriously out there concepts.
I'm all ears. Hit me with the wildest ideas from Van der Veere's book.
All right. Well, remember how we talked about government incentives? He takes it a step further and proposes government-funded fertility treatments.
That's a big one. I mean, the cost of those treatments is a huge barrier for a lot of people.
Exactly. And he argues that if we're truly serious about boosting birth rates, those treatments need to be accessible to everyone, not just the wealthy.
It's about leveling the playing field, right?
Huh.
Giving everyone the same opportunities to build a family. Makes sense.
But then he goes even further and starts exploring, well, some pretty futuristic solutions.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Things like community sperm and egg banks, where people can donate.
I've heard of those. What else?
He even talks about the possibility of external fertilization and, get this, artificial wombs.
Wait, hold on. Artificial wombs, like where babies are grown outside the body? That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, right. But the technology is developing rapidly, and Van der Veere argues that we need to be open to these possibilities, If we really want to address population decline, we have to consider all options.
So it's not about replacing natural pregnancy. It's about offering more choices for people who might face biological challenges.
Exactly. It's about expanding our definition of what it means to be a parent and create a family.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
But even with all the technology in the world, infertility can be incredibly emotionally challenging.
Absolutely. And Van der Veere recognizes that. He talks about the importance of creating a society where infertility is no longer taboo, where people can talk openly about their struggles, seek support without shame or judgment.
That's so crucial. Infertility can be so isolating, so emotionally draining. Creating a culture of openness and support would make a world of difference.
Totally. And that sense of community, of belonging, it needs to extend to all families, no matter how they're formed.
So we're talking about a society that embraces all families, celebrates diversity, and really focuses on fostering connection.
That's the vision. And as we've been discussing, older generations have a vital role to play in this.
Right. We talked about their wisdom, their experience, their potential for mentoring younger generations. How else does he see them contributing?
Well, he imagines a society where older adults are actively engaged in shaping the community, like creating spaces where different generations can come together,
Okay, I'm picturing it like community gardens where older folks can share their gardening skills with younger people, or workshops where they can teach traditional crafts.
Exactly. Or maybe intergenerational music groups or storytelling events. The possibilities are endless.
It's like a modern twist on the traditional village concept, right? Everyone contributes, everyone benefits, and we all learn from each other.
Right. It's about fostering that sense of intergenerational solidarity, recognizing that we're all in this together. It's not us versus them, it's we.
Okay, listener, we've really covered a lot in this deep dive. Population decline, creative solutions, technology, community, intergenerational connection. What's swirling around in your head right now?
Right. How are you feeling? Overwhelmed, inspired, hopeful. A little bit of everything.
Because I'm definitely feeling all of those things. What strikes me the most is Van der Veere's optimism. He doesn't just lay out the problems. He paints a picture of a better future and gives us tools to start building it.
I completely agree. It's not about despair, it's about possibility. It's about believing that we can create a more inclusive, more supportive, and more family-centered world.
Exactly. And he reminds us that it starts with each of us, right? We all have a role to play in making this new reality a reality. So listener, we want to hear from you. What resonated with you the most? What steps are you inspired to take? Let's keep this conversation going. And if you want to dive even deeper, definitely check out Arnaud Veere's book, Creating a New Reality.
It's a must-read if you're interested in any of the topics we've discussed today.
Absolutely. It's thought-provoking, hopeful, and it might just change the way you think about family, community, and the future. So until next time, listener, keep diving deep, keep those conversations going, and remember, the future is ours to create.